funny that that's the question that I get. Just knocking on the doors the other day, a lady I spoke to, she said to me her husband was one of 12 people in the country that's been telling our federal government, provincial government about what was coming with the changing climate and all of that, but nobody was listening. So what I said earlier was listening to the professionals, the people who have the expertise and not just the politicians to find the solutions, right? But as everybody's been saying here, there's plenty of solutions. So I said to her, you know, for the last 2 years, I've been working in a job that I absolutely love as the technical director for basketball Nova Scotia. And one of the things I love most about my job is the fact that I'm helping the environment because I get to work from home 3 days a week. And 2 days a week, I gotta go into the office. So I said to her, like, that's something that I would fight to put into place. So it's funny that I get this question as my first question, as the first person on the panel to answer. So it's something I definitely would support and fight for 100% because of all the benefits. Well, everybody knows when you get in your car and you're driving down the street, you're burning gas, you're polluting the environment, right? So less days at work driving means less days you're burning gas, less days you're polluting, all right? Also, it creates another thing that we're talking about healthcare and that work-home balance, all right? The reason they're doing it for us had nothing to do with the carbon or anything like that. It had to do with work-life balance. Because there are some weeks in my job where I'm in the gym for 7 days a week, but then the following week, I can take those 3 days and work from home. So having that work-life balance helps with the healthcare system. As the question to would I support it 100% as your MLA plus, it helps because we're driving all the way from Preston into the city, but we're not getting the same benefit from the rebate that's there. I don't know if you guys understand that, but basically with the carbon tax rebate, we're seen as being urban. So therefore, we get less money for coming from a rural community, but yet we come from so far to get to the city when we do have to go into work. So that's something that I would fight to put in a better deal because apparently our big guy up top at the Liberals, Mr. Trudeau for the federal government, and our big guy here, Mr. Houston, they couldn't play in the sandbox together to get us a better deal. So, like, these are grown men that understand that the rising cost of everything is happening right now, all right? The other way to help with that is to cut costs on groceries. If you cut costs on the groceries, that means you can eat a little more, you can be a little more healthy, right? But also it puts a little more money in the pocket in the home and the families that are not making big bucks. And I know a lot of times the NDP party gets dinged for just working for the poor people or the low income people. Well, you know what? I think it's worth it because I didn't grow up rich. I have a good life now, but I'm fighting for the people that don't have the life that I've worked to have. And also the fact that they don't want us to tax the big companies that are really making the money from the carbon, who are polluting the earth with the carbon, the big trucking companies that are transporting all over the world. That's where the taxes should be put on, all right?
Cece hit on something really important here about...
He knows me as CC now. It makes him connect better with our crowd.
No, but he did hit on something really important, I think, which is talking about this deal with Trudeau. I hear time and time again from red, blue, and yellow saying, if we just said the right magic words to Trudeau, then he would just make the carbon tax go away. Why didn't you say the right magic words? and McNeil couldn't find the right magic words, and then Houston couldn't find the right magic words, and I kind of feel like Chester probably couldn't either. The carbon tax is coming. What we should have been doing, what we should have done years ago, what we should be doing now, is making a better plan, a made in Nova Scotia plan, to have our own carbon tax that actually does it in a way that's equitable, that actually gives the money back to people, that actually recognizes the real everyday costs that we have, instead of grumbling and kicking the sand and shrugging our shoulders and saying, well, it's big Mr. Mean Trudeau in Ottawa and there's nothing we can do about it here in Nova Scotia, because in fact, we actually could. We could develop our own made in Nova Scotia carbon tax that works better, is more equitable, and treats people fairly and punishes the real
Why more
polluters.
taxes? Why do we want more taxes?
You'll have time to ask your questions later.
Everybody meet the leader of the Nova Scotia United Party. All right. Yeah. There's a sign-up list for questions. So, instead of taking this opportunity to build our own policy and have it actually work for us here in Nova Scotia, to make sure that it recognizes the diversity of communities in Nova Scotia, to make sure that it recognizes the unique challenges that we face, to make sure that it recognizes that a huge part of our emissions come from coal power, from Nova Scotia Power, what are we supposed to do about that? That's its own special case. We should be handling that in a unique way. Instead, we're lumped into the federal backstop program, and we have no choice over how this works, because it's a political football, because it's hot potato, because we have, I'm going to say it, I think a little bit of cowardice from Nova Scotia politicians who are afraid to grab this bull by the horns and say, I will implement a better carbon tax, because they want to blame somebody else and say, I'm not touching it wasn't me, I didn't do the carbon tax. So instead, you get a worse deal because they're afraid to actually put their name against anything. The Green Party of Nova Scotia is the only political party in Nova Scotia that actually had a plan for carbon tax, that actually is willing to stand up and say, we will make a made in Nova Scotia carbon tax that works for Nova Scotians, and not let Justin Trudeau decide how we get taxed. Only party, the only party. Anyway, sorry. I think the question was primarily about remote work. This is something the Green Party's been pushing for a long time. It's fantastic. It allows people better work-life balance. It allows less driving, which benefits everybody, even if you can work from home, because there's less traffic, if there's not as many people on the roads. Remember early in the pandemic, a bunch of people working from home, all of a sudden there was no traffic, right? We could have that all the time, but instead we have governments that are trying to push people to go back into the office because, I don't know, I guess there are real estate developers downtown that don't want empty office space or something, I don't know. We should instead be allowing people to work from home. The government should be allowing civil servants to work from home, because it means less traffic, less emissions, less money leaving Nova Scotia going to gasoline and diesel that we're importing. It's better, it's win-win-win, it's better for everybody. So absolutely we should be doing this. In fact, we should be finding ways to incentivize it and make it easier so that more companies can allow their employees to work from home, because it really does benefit everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.